And you're out on he was angling right off the Cape Cod here in a boat. And he looked over the bow and he saw a guy in the water struggling and flailing around. So he directed the captain to drive a little closer. He's still quite a ways away. And he saw the guy had a Yankees cap on. Anyway, he kept getting closer, and then out of nowhere, probably a foggy day or something, and out of the fog came this boat with two guys on it. And they were rushing towards the guy too. And these two guys had Red Sox hats on. And they throw a line in, and they pull the Yankee guy into the boat, and Peter's going, wow, I thought the Yankees and Red Sox hated each other. This is great. This restores my whole belief in mankind, and the Red Sox hate the Yankees on the field, but it's great. We can get along off the field. And he's praising hallelujah, and he turns the boat around, and he goes away. He's happy. And back in the other boat, the one guy looks at the guy, who was that guy? He goes, oh, that's Peter Gammons. He's the guru of baseball. He knows everything about the Red Sox and Yankees. You know, he's just the god of baseball. The other guy says to him, oh, I forgot one important part of the story. Right before they pulled the guy into the boat, the shark was coming at the guy. And that's why they pulled the guy in the boat. And the guy says, he can't know that much. He says, throw the shark bait back in the water, will you? The Cape League was not only fun, but very consequential, as I would learn later, period of my life. In my second year, I got off to a super start, and I think it was just a couple weeks into the season, and I got hit with a pitch and broke these two bones, and couldn't play the rest of the year. But I loved being on the Cape so much that I asked the team, and they obliged, and I got to stay the rest of the season. I sort of became the first base coach for the rest of the year, with my arm in a cast and all that stuff. Well, my job that year was not a cush job in the bank, but it was a cush job at the Wayside Inn as a busboy with all the pretty waitresses running around. But it was serious work. They had people rolling through there. I mean, the whole theme was you got to get people in and out as fast as possible so you can make as much money as possible. And we were under pressure to set a table of 8 in 2 trips as a busboy. I had to do it in 2 trips. I had to bring all the forks, all the knives, all the cups and saucers and everything and do it in 2 trips. Well, with 2 of my fingers in a cast, I could, and you usually would put your coffee cups 1 on each finger, not counting your thumb, but I only had 7. And I couldn't do it. So I had to use some of that Harvard ingenuity. And I took a picture hook and I screwed it into my cast. I hung the 8th cup from the hook when I was able to set the table. And I kind of became a little bit of a tourist attraction. Oh, we'll see the guy with the hook in his arm. But the serious side to that was really, playing in the Ivy League at Harvard, you're not exactly playing against the best, even though it's Division I, it's not the best talent in the country. And that sophomore year in the Cape was going to be the last year that scouts were going to get a chance to see me play against real high-level competition. So I also played basketball at Harvard, but I went back to Harvard that fall and gave up basketball so I could focus on weight training and try to get ready for what I hoped would be my final year, my junior year at college, because I really wanted to play ball. And it's probably the only decision I regretted in my life was not playing basketball that year, because I enjoyed that almost as much as baseball. But it was all because of that broken hand in the Cape. The next year, I did get drafted, and by the Oakland A's, and that was when Charlie Finley was selling everything. He was selling Joe Rudy and that trade that got negated by the commissioner. He was getting rid of that World Championship team, and he wasn't buying anything. And even though I was a first-round pick, he offered me basically nothing. And my father was trying to negotiate with him. Charlie even fielded a few calls, I think, from the house when Finley would call the house, and we went through a lot of back and forth, and we thought we were going to sign. We thought we reached a verbal agreement, and Charlie took me out. We had a big party in his little Volkswagen, I remember, and I don't know, something went flying out the window right that night. And then only to find out that the next day when we asked him to put the verbal agreement in writing, he wouldn't, and I wasn't going to sign, and I ended up staying and playing that 3rd year at the Cape. About a week later, I get a call from NBC. And they were doing the Game of the Week at the time. As you recall, every Saturday was the NBC Game of the Week. And they said, some producer called me, we want to do a story on you. You're kind of interesting. You're a Harvard guy and you're a first-round draft pick, but it didn't work out for you. So we want to kind of do a story on how things don't always work out, even if you're a first-round draft pick. So we'll come out to the Cape on I think it might have been a Saturday morning, and we'll tape it, and we're going to show it on this date, you know, before the game, national TV. Like, wow, okay. So I wake up, I get a call early that morning, and this is probably the most impactful moment of my 3 years on the Cape. I get a call that morning, and the producer calls and says, listen, Mike, we're going to cancel the interview for today. We just got news that Thurman Munson's plane crashed and he died. And it's like, wow. Wow. And we'll try to reschedule another time. Of course they did, and of course I didn't care. I love Thurman Munson. I'll never forget that night. And I'm sure many of you remember all our Cape League team standing around that TV, pre-game, Yankee Stadium, when they had the empty catcher's box and they did the anthem and a tribute to Munson. I mean, we were all had tears in our eyes. But it happened right here on the Cape, and I'll never forget that. I want to talk quickly about a funny story that happened many years ago. We still get, amazingly, I still get baseball cards that people want me to sign their cards. I mean, why would they want my signature? But fine. And some people send 5, 6, 7, or 8. And my wife Wendy says, well, you know, they just go sell those on eBay. I go, God, if they can make money off of me, you know, God bless America. You know, if you can make a dime off of me, I'll be happy to sign them. So, you know, we get letters all the time. And one day I get a letter, and there's no cards in there, because usually they write a letter. And I'm just looking at it. It says, Dear Mike, my name is Al Pepper, and I've done some research, and I'm writing a book. And I want you to know that based on my research, I'm rating you as the 32nd greatest player of all time. And then I open up the rest, and it says, who had a career batting average below 200. And he did, and he wrote a book called Mendoza's Heroes, the greatest 50 batters who had a below 200 career big league batting average. Basically, guys who probably should have had a better career, but did, you know, for whatever reason. You know, number one is Bob Uecker.
Yeah.
So I rewrote my chapter. He liked the way I wrote. Peter, I think you contributed to the book, right? And I even got to write the foreword of the book, which is right here, which is my first journalistic feat. And the first paragraph is, the only thing I find more astonishing that someone would write a book about below 200 hitters is that I'm in a book about below 200 hitters. Because it wasn't supposed to be that way. And, you know, you heard John talk. I had a good swing. I had a great minor league career, but it just didn't work out for many reasons in the big league. But I'll tell you what, being here this weekend, one thing became eminently clear to me. Baseball, my big league career didn't live up to expectations. A lot of promises made, promises unkept, experiences, you know, hoped for and dreams unfulfilled. And I carried a lot of disappointment and even some bitterness towards some people about it. But I'll tell you what, being here today, being a member of this hall has validated all the hard work. I didn't realize that until about 4 hours ago. I'm sitting here and I was thinking, I said, this is going to make me a little lighter on my feet. So I am so honored to be here. You guys do such great work in this league to get players ready for baseball and for life. The volunteers, God bless you, the families I lived with, my friends and family. I'm so honored, and God bless all of you. Thank you very much.